Hello, this is Hunter McDermott with another episode of Guitar Blog. It is Thursday, April 16th, 2020, 4:07 p.m. So, I got a new guitar. I got rid of the Jazzmaster that I showed off last time because I kept picking it up day after day and going, just shaking my head. There was something about it. It didn't feel right. It didn't sound very good to me. And I was really tired of messing with it. I had put a lot of time and a lot of money into getting it to where it was like playable by my standards, and it still wasn't really. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth all that time and effort. So I decided to get rid of it and buy the guitar I should have bought the first time, which is this. This is an Ibanez AS200. VYS, which stands for Vintage Yellow Sunburst. It's the same basic model as John Scofield plays. His is from 1981, so it has like the scooped, like castle style headstock, and has a darker finish, but I think it's mostly otherwise the same. But yeah, so it was a long time coming, I guess, to get to finally picking this guitar up, because when I first got into jazz, really, was when I was listened to A Go-Go by John Scofield. That record really it's a record that I think people who maybe wouldn't say they like jazz would really like. It's more on like a funk blues kind of thing. Just a fantastic record, and really got me interested in semi-hollow body guitars, and then somehow I decided I should buy a 335. So I did years ago, and I spent just a ridiculous amount of money on it. And that was another guitar that just didn't quite feel right. I had convinced myself that I could make it feel right and be good. And I have no doubt that whoever has it now is loving it, and it's, you know, the right guitar for the right person, but it wasn't the right guitar for me. And it was very expensive. It's like over $1,000 more than this guitar. And in my opinion, this guitar is every bit as high quality as that is, and maybe higher. So this comes from Japan. It's made in Japan at the Fujigen factory, which is like the Ibanez's top tier guitars come out of that factory. The Art Star Prestige series. And I was just thinking the Fender Jazzmaster was, once you considered buying the bridge, so buying the guitar and buying the bridge and some of the other stuff I did to fix it up. Now, you don't have to do that, but I felt like I had to do that to get it where I wanted. You're talking, this is only maybe a couple $100 more after all of that. And that's just absurd to me, because the quality of this instrument is vastly, vastly better than the quality of that instrument, for my purposes. Now, if you bought that guitar and you kept the light gauge strings on it, and you did like a My Bloody Valentine thing, and you liked the tremolo for noise or punk or whatever, you know, all the things that it has subsequently become known for besides jazz, then you'd probably be very happy. It's, you know, very high quality in other respects, I think. But for what I needed it to do and wanted it to do, it wasn't the right choice. And that was just me stubbornly thinking, like, it's a Jazzmaster. It was made to play jazz. How cool would it be if I could, you know, be that guy who plays the Jazzmaster to play jazz? And just my curiosity. And you know, I loved the way it looked. And I liked the idea that it was a solid body, because I like my other Fender so much. So I don't know. I would probably make those decisions again and come to the same conclusion again. But anyway, this is where I should have been all these years. Even the D'Angelico I had, which was a very nice guitar, is not this nice. It's not this guitar. It doesn't sound quite as nice. Doesn't feel quite as nice. Not put together quite as well. As good as it is, it's just not this. So, cool. I'm happy. We'll see if I continue to be happy, but I can see that I probably will. This is the thing that I should have had all along. Very, very pleased with it. Yeah, so that's it. probably for talking about the guitar, I think. Quick shout out to Mastery Bridge Company, the Jazzmaster bridge that I had. I ended up returning the bridge as well, and they were extremely nice and allowed me to do that, and were very responsive customer support wise. So though right now I am not technically a customer of theirs, I can highly recommend. The quality of their product is exceptional, and their customer service is great, and you won't be disappointed if that's something that you want to do. I had even considered maybe purchasing a new bridge for my Tele that had like compensated saddles, and whenever I decide to do that, they're who I'm going to go to buy that. So quick plug for them. Check them out if you're interested. Okay, so what I've been practicing, a few things. The main thing, as of up until about a week ago, I've been practicing Joe Elliott's connecting game, which I talked about on a previous episode a while ago. And the idea is that he outlines a bunch of very commonly used chord progressions in jazz tunes, like 2-5-1, 3-6-2-5, cycling dominance, that kind of thing. And then you play the arpeggio. So if you're doing like a long 2-5, so that's a measure of 2, a measure of 5, and then 2 measures of 1. Then in the key of C major, you would be doing something like this. So 8 notes to fill up that measure, just even 8th notes, no fancy rhythms. And then once you get to the end of the measure, then you need to transition to the nearest chord tone of the next chord. So this would be G7. And then C major 7. So that kind of thing. And you don't have to go in one direction the whole time. You can change directions and move around. So it's a neat exercise because it really works on your arpeggios and voice leading and being able to change in the middle of something, not feeling like you can only play the whole arpeggio from low to high starting on the root. You know, it gets you starting the arpeggio in lots of different places, which is very important. And then it anyway, that's the main thing. Lost my train of thought there. But anyway, so what I was doing was taking that and working on it in groups. So you've got 5 different positions that you can play those arpeggios, that I can play them with the arpeggio shapes that I know. And I would try to record with a click some drop 2 chords up at the top, underneath. So I do D minor 7, G7, C major 7, and just kind of loop that and then work on that kind of thing. And then just increasing speed over time, and then move up and do the next set, and the next set, so on and so forth. So that'd be 4 of them, and then for the 5th one I would do all of the chords in a kind of voice-led progression going down the neck. So it'd be like that kind of thing. And recording that all and doing the final position. So that was really great, and I'd like to do more of that probably. So looking at my arpeggios, a lot of them are very common, like especially all the minors. The way that I play the minor arpeggios is exactly the same way that I see online and in books and in videos and stuff like that. There's just kind of like those work out to be really consistent on the guitar. Dominant 7 and minor 7, and actually minor 7 flat 5, not so much. Some of them are, yes, they're always basically the same, and others people shift the notes around a little bit. So that's been a little bit interesting to try out. So the way I learned to do, say, a D7 arpeggio with the root on the fifth string was like this. But then I saw Cheryl Bailey does it like this. So instead of doing the third on the next string, she does the third on the same string and just does this reach. And that way, instead of going down here, she goes here. And I really like that because this move, even though I don't do my scales with these big 5-fret stretches, 5-fret stretch is not something that I'm unfamiliar with, so it's easy for me to do. And it just kind of feels like it keeps my hand in a consistent position, whereas this one, I have to come way down here and bend my wrist and everything. So that was an easy change to make. But trying to keep an open mind, I was looking at the arpeggio shapes that Randy Vincent shows in the book I was telling you about, the Guitarist's Introduction to Jazz. And he would do it like, how would he do it? He moves this flat 7 to the 6th string, but then he keeps the third there. So you've got... But then you've got this like weird pinky to second finger stretch across 4 frets, which isn't impossible. You have to move your whole hand quite far, and not sure how much I like that. But I'm trying it out and seeing what works best, because certain arpeggios will work, certain shapes will work better when combined with other shapes. So anyway, I've been messing around with that a little bit, trying to find the shapes that work best for me, and the answer is probably all of them at some point or another will be useful. So it's not bad to just do them all at some point. But the big thing is, as of a week ago, my buddy told me about a site called Bebop Boot Camp, which is run by a guy named Kenyon Carter, a saxophone player. And I watched all like the really salesy stuff, like the intro video and all that kind of stuff, and I was hooked. He says a lot of things that really resonate with me, and the promise is that it's, as a boot camp style thing, that you can do it in 8 weeks, and once you get going on the guitar, it's very clear that it's going to take longer than that, because you can play stuff in so many different positions. The range of the instrument is so much greater. But he even thought about that too. So once you get into the course, you can see that he lays out all the stuff, and so he explains the exercises to do and how they work and everything. But then there's a section specifically for guitar players, which I really appreciate. It's just a short video that kind of says, here's how you might adapt this information to the guitar. And the guitar player that he has come in and help with that section uses the Cage system. So it was just like, yes, this is exactly what I would want. I've talked about before the Richie Zellen bebop course, which introduces you to like 6 major scale patterns and all these weird fingerings that feel really bad. It's like getting you to stretch in these really messed up ways that for me just is uncomfortable, and just being stubborn, I don't want to learn 6 weird major scale, 7 scale shapes. I know my Cage system, I like it. It seems to work for me. So anyway, I'm sticking with it as long as I can. And I think it'll be fine. So I really appreciate that it builds on stuff that I already know, technique-wise. It's not trying to get me to relearn something. It's just adding to what I already know. And it even does that with the arpeggio stuff too, so it's kind of dovetailing nicely with what I've already been doing of late. So I can highly recommend that. And I'm really plugging a lot of stuff. I'm not endorsed or sponsored by anybody. I just have been having a really great experience with this so far. It's still early stages. I'm only in week 2, and I'm not really following the week-by-week thing because there's so much more material for guitar to kind of cover. So I'm only like kind of halfway through the material of the first week. So I have no expectation that I'll finish this in 8 weeks, but I don't care. Now is a good time to really devote myself to getting through some new material, so as long as it takes is as long as it takes. I'm having a lot of fun with it already. So what he does, without giving it all away, is it's kind of built off of sort of the Randy Vincent melodic cells kind of concept. So you'd be doing something like playing a descending bebop scale and then doing like an octave displacement. So instead of going down to the next lowest note, so if I'm starting at C, the next lowest note after G would be F, but then you jump up an octave and then you continue back down and you kind of end up in the same place that you start. So that's cool. And then applying to that like an arpeggio. So then you've got that kind of like octave displacement with an arpeggio at the beginning, and then trying your arpeggios. And then ending up in a spot where you can then play another one. Anyway, that kind of thing. So I'm still working on it, but getting the feel for playing from different chord tones throughout the bebop scale and doing that in one spot. So he's got, I think, 6 different like things, different melodic patterns that you follow. And once you get through, I'm only about 3, got about 3 of the 6 done. But once you have them all, then you've got like enclosures and you've got all kinds of good stuff. So that's really, really good stuff, and I'm getting a lot out of it. So I would highly recommend that. But anyway, we'll see where that goes. That's it, I think, for this week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hope everybody's staying healthy and staying home. Do that. Take care.